Welcome back folks, my name is LastKnownMeal and today we're going to embark on a new lore journey in the universe and talk about one thing I never touched on before too much, and that is the Fourth Corporate War. Conflict so huge it determined a whole course of the future spanning over the time of the Red and then shaping 2077 into what it is today, so let's get into it. Now before we begin, this will be a general overview of the war, and we will be going further into details over the next couple of weeks and months because the war itself was long and full of important characters we all know. So how did it start? Well, in 2021, EHAG, a corporation focused on underwater shipping and tech, went bankrupt, and whenever that happens you will have rival companies going in to try and acquire the land, buildings, technology to continue their own operations, and two companies who wanted that the most were Sino and Otech. Now this race was so heated that at first they used more common tactics like stock manipulation, economic warfare. You even had some mid-tier corpos being assassinated, data being stolen, and because every single day those attacks got bigger and bigger, it was just a matter of time until it escalated. Now Otech realized straight away that things are going bad, and what they could do is hire Militech, one of the largest corporations out there, to help them protect their assets with troops, tanks, aircrafts, etc. And that is when Sino said, okay, look, I can play that game, and they hire Arasaka to do the same thing. But slowly it went from defending the assets to operations of military corporate forces going in to destroy their buildings or assault their own troops. And so the first part of the conflict, or the Ocean War, began. Now because both Arasaka and Militech had insane firepower, it started getting whole countries involved because, both of them were able to strike anywhere in the world at all times. That's why small military conflicts turned into huge all-out warfare, and you had cities like Rio de Janeiro reduced to absolute rubble because, well, both corps were using the firepower equal to small countries in World War II, so yes, they had enough weapons. Now the problem with this was, the more conflict got out of hand, more Arasaka and Militech started hating each other. It went from just a contract to them saying, well, we will destroy everything you have. That's also when you had high riders, people who lived in space or were born in space. They started firing rocks and other stuff from mass drivers that were located up there to Earth to achieve their own independence. I mean, high riders had enough firepower to raise entire cities to the ground. And they didn't pick sides, they were basically just fire on both sides, who cares? Now the problem was, warfare wasn't just on land and sea. Fighting in the net was probably the most deadly since both sides used top-of-the-line programs and daemons to assault one another, and those viruses started affecting everyone else throughout the net. They also started destroying servers and data centers to cripple their opponents. That's when Netwatch said, well, we have to do something, so they placed the barrier of communication between Arasaka and Militech, but that was too late, they already did enough damage to the net. And you know what the funniest thing in all of this is? Sino and Otech achieved truce thanks to Eurobank, who mediated the deal in around 2022, but Militech and Arasaka were not done fighting yet, and so the second stage of the war, called the Shadow War, has begun. They slowly started moving on each other like never before, and as I said, mostly in the net, and by the time the third stage of the war, or the Hot War, began, the net we all knew was dying. That's why the net is so strange and dangerous here in 2077. You have data pools or overall city networks, but general communication and access to various servers was basically gone due to that conflict and all the viruses that were in the net. When you are a net runner and you go inside the net, there are high chances you will basically flatline. And that was also when both mega corporations said, well, we had enough of this, and a full-scale conflict with tanks going on each other basically began. It looked like the start of the Third World War. Now keep in mind, the more destruction these two brought, the more countries started saying, wait, maybe we should attack them and remove our support so this doesn't actually escalate even further, and they did. First you had Free State of Southern California, who seized both HQs in Los Angeles and you know, both from Arasaka and Militech. Then you had Texas follow up and other European countries as well. That's when both Arasaka and Militech saw their reality shrink fast. They were in a tough spot because the perception people had of them was gone. Now it's no use to have rules anymore, and the fighting actually escalated even further. After that, you also had the assault on the Arasaka Tower that was done by a group called the Atlantis Group, allegedly, and that was made from people like Morgan Blackhand, Johnny Silverhand, Rogue, etc. That's when that fight between Morgan Blackhand and Adam Smasher happened, and that was also when Johnny died. During that assault on August 20th, 2023, a mini nuke was activated and half the Night City was basically destroyed, including the entire corporate center. But the story of Atlantis Group is a story for another day. So after that, you know, you had American government saying enough, you had Japanese government who said to Arasaka, look, you are done. And they conceded by the end of 2023. So Militech technically came out as a victor of that war, but they were heavily crippled and almost on their knees. And that is when the time of the Red started, and our journey towards 2077 slowly began. But the next time we will talk more about Johnny and the group that, you know, was involved in the assault on the Arasaka Tower, because yes, they are important, but the war itself was between corporations. It wasn't between Johnny and everyone else. This was on a much smaller scale compared to the overall war these two actually had. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Tell me down below what you think about all of this, and subscribe for more Cyberpunk lore videos, and join our growing community on Twitter and Discord. I also made a Patreon page. If you wanted an extra way to support the channel, you can do it through there, and huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out, and stay classy everyone. Bye bye.